President Biden finally takes aim at the southern border and closes it after much debate.
I don't need recognition. I'm on a mission. I'm paying dues. I'm in position. I'm staying up. It's getting late. You're doing good. I'm doing great. Recognition. I'm on a mission. I'm paying dues. I'm in position. I'm staying up. It's getting late. You're doing good. I'm doing great.
It is Friday, June 7th, and this is Matty, your host of Political Palette. Hopefully everybody has had an outstanding week ahead, but with that, we get into some breaking news. One of our listeners submitted a little voice note on speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. Mark from Pennsylvania hit the nail right on the head.
Next time, let's talk about an open border, unsafe for American and those people that live in America.
You're right, Mark. Let's talk a little bit about the border. Biden's finally doing something about it, and let's start the segment off right away. So, President Biden just dropped some executive orders aimed at tackling the ongoing situation at the U.S.-Mexico border. And let me tell you, the political fallout has been nothing short of explosive. From hardcore Republicans to progressive advocates, everyone's got something to say. Here's the lowdown. Biden's new orders are setting some pretty strict rules, and if you cross the southern border unlawfully, you're out of luck when it comes to asylum. This new policy kicks in when there are more than 2,500 crossings a day over a 7-day period. That's right, folks. If anything gets out of control, asylum claims are off the table, and if it gets really intense, Biden has the authority to shut down the border between ports of entry. But how's that for a plot twist? I want to talk a little bit about reactions, and then we do have a clip from a listener to play here on the show. So, Republicans are losing their minds over this, calling it unlawful and a political stunt. But wait a minute, aren't these the same people who've been yelling to close the border for years? Now Biden steps in and does it, and suddenly it's the end of the world. The hypocrisy is mind-blowing. To me, honestly, I look at the situation, I'm like, what the hell? The Republicans wanted the border closed for literally years since Biden's term began, and now Biden's doing something about it, and the Republicans are up in arms with their pitchforks saying that this whole thing's unlawful and it's not going to go through, and it's almost like they want the border crisis to help them in their ratings. Isn't that crazy how selfish that is? It's nothing to do with the American people actually feeling safe in their homeland. Instead, it's all about the Republicans being able to secure these donors and continue to purport lies to the American people. And of course, it's not just Republicans. Progressives and immigration advocates are up in arms too. They're saying that Biden's betraying asylum seekers and adopting Trump-like policies. And let's be real, they've got a point. This move makes it tougher for people genuinely fleeing danger to seek refuge in the U.S. It's like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place here. But so many people, including myself, want to know, why is Biden doing this now? Well, he's trying to get a grip on the border situation ahead of the elections, of course. It's a politically charged move, no doubt. He says he wants Congress to step up and pass real immigration reform. But guess what? Congress is too busy bickering to get anything done. They've been at this for ages, and absolutely nothing has changed, unfortunately, and it's such a sad thing to see. I wanted to talk a little bit about what Biden's team is specifically doing here in these executive orders, if you aren't already aware. So, they're going to be suspending asylum for unlawful crossings, which means if you cross illegally, no asylum for you. This is supposed to deter people from crossing unlawfully. These measures come into play during high volumes of border crossings, making it easier for immigration officers to swiftly remove those without a legal bias to stay. Second, temporary border closures. When things get too crazy at the border, Biden can shut it down between official entry points. This action is meant to control the situation when overwhelmed by high volumes of crossings. The border can reopen once daily crossings fall below 1,500 for 7 consecutive days. And number 3, enhanced screening and removal processes. The DHS and DOJ are ramping up efforts to quickly boot out those who pose security risks and streamline the asylum process for those who have legitimate claims. This involves new dockets to expedite cases of recent arrivals and harsher penalties for human smugglers. And number 4, visa restrictions on smugglers. The State Department is cracking down on executives and officials from companies that profit from illegal migration. This includes visa restrictions on curb the activities of those facilitating unlawful entry into the United States. You want to know the ironic kicker here? Even with these tough measures, Biden's still pushing Congress to act. He's making it clear that executive orders can only do so much. We need real, lasting reform, and until Congress gets its act together, we're just putting band-aids on bullet wounds. So what's the bigger picture here? Biden's trying to handle a tough situation with limited tools. While some of his actions seem harsh, we have to remember the broader context here. We need comprehensive immigration reform that actually works, and until Congress steps up, we're stuck in this mess. Let's break down some more reactions. Republicans are calling this a political stunt. Senator Ted Cruz said Joe Biden has 3 years to secure the border. Why is he just now signing an executive order to fix it? It's a political play before the election to get the corporate media to gush and say things aren't so bad. And honestly, he's not alone in that sentiment. But here's the kicker. These are the same Republicans who have been demanding stricter border controls. Now that Biden's taking a tough stance, they're flipping the script and calling it unlawful. The irony is just too rich. And let's not forget the criticism from our side. Progressive groups are saying that these orders are a betrayal of Biden's promises. The Welcome with Dignity campaign tweeted a few days into the Immigrant Heritage Month, and Biden is planning to shut down the legal pathway for people fleeing persecution. Laura St. John from the Florence Immigrant and Refugee Rights Project also slammed the move, saying it restricts asylum further. So where does this leave us? We need a balanced approach. Securing the border is crucial, but we can't lose our humanity in the process. There are people out there who genuinely are in need of refuge, fleeing violence and persecution. We need to find a way to help them while maintaining control over our borders. And in the end, Biden's executive orders are a response to an urgent crisis, but they're not the ultimate solution. We need comprehensive immigration reform from Congress, something that addresses the root causes of migration and provides resources for border management and upholds our values as a nation of immigrants. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsor. Thanks for listening.
Let's go to a place, a safe place, where you can express your ideas, thoughts, opinions, and most importantly, let's express you. Matt Films is the base plate, a home to multiple brands. At our founding spot of Pennsylvania, we set on a mission to tap into industries that even the Fortune 500 companies haven't tapped into. We take the extra step to invest into brands that will make an impact on you. Let's make it easy to create, inspire, and share your talents with the world. We're removing all of the barriers. We are Matt Films.
Now, I I wanted to shift gears a little bit and answer in depth one of our listeners' voice notes that they submitted on speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. Remember, you could always submit a voice note up to 90 seconds in length, and I might just play it here on the show. That's speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. Let's go ahead and listen to this message from Mark from Pennsylvania.
I really enjoyed your broadcast. Next time, let's talk about an open border, unsafe for American and those people that live in America, and what's destroying people's lives or other people coming in this country illegally. It's illegal. But hey, let's give them some money, send them to a hotel, give them a phone, let them hang out. But at the same time, our vets are sitting on the streets, starving, hurting, confused. Well, let's talk about high inflation. Things are so expensive. Too expensive, actually. Middle class is like falling down, where the upper class is climbing higher. Let's talk about some of that stuff on your podcast sometime. Thanks for talking.
First off, I just want to thank Mark for submitting this voice message over. It's one of our first of many voice messages that I expect to play here on the show, and I'd like to go into detail about some of his comments. He's got some thoughts on the border and how, according to him, undocumented immigrants are getting free money and housing from the government. Mark also talked about how the middle class is falling and the upper class is rising due to inflation. And on that point, I agree. But let's break this down. First off, the idea that undocumented immigrants are getting free money and housing from the government is a complete myth. Let's set the record straight. Undocumented immigrants are typically not eligible for federal public benefits like SNAP, regular Medicaid, supplemental security income, and temporary assistance for needy families. They also can't get subsidies under the Affordable Care Act or buy unsubsidized health coverage on the ACA exchanges. Now, there are some exceptions, like emergency Medicaid and access to health care and nutrition programs under WIC, but these programs are limited and designed to protect life and guarantee safety in dire situations. Also, some states have their own programs that may provide limited assistance, but it's nowhere near the level some folks think. As for housing, it's a similar story. Undocumented immigrants are not eligible for federal housing assistance. In the rare case where mixed status families, where some members are documented and others are not, receive housing aid. The benefits are strictly prorated based on the number of eligible household members. Now, on the point about the middle class falling and the upper class rising due to inflation, you're absolutely right, Mark. Inflation has hit the middle class hard, eroding purchasing power and making it difficult to keep up with rising costs. According to recent reports, the cost of living has surged, and wages haven't kept up with pace with inflation. This disparity is widening the gap between wealthy and everyone else, creating significant economic pressure on middle and lower income families. So while we need to be clear about the misinformation around undocumented immigrants getting free benefits, it's crucial to acknowledge the real struggles faced by the middle class due to economic policies and inflation. We need comprehensive solutions that address both immigration and economic inequality. Thanks for your voice note, Mark. It's important to have these discussions and get to the facts. So let's keep the conversation going at speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. Now, yesterday marked a significant day in history, and it was the 80th anniversary of D-Day that happened on June 6th of 1944. It marked a pivotal moment in World War II, and as we commemorate this day 80 years later, it's important to remember the bravery, sacrifice, and monumental impact of the Allied forces' invasion of Normandy. So what was D-Day? D-Day, or Operation Overlord, was the largest seaborne invasion in history. On June 6th of 1944, over 150,000 Allied troops from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and other nations stormed the beaches of Normandy, France, to begin the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi occupation. This operation involved intense planning and coordination, facing formidable German defenses along the Atlantic Wall. The beaches of Normandy were divided into 5 sectors: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Each beach saw fierce fighting, but the determination and courage of the Allied forces ultimately led to a significant breach in Hitler's defenses and paved the way for the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. To mark the 80th anniversary, and commemorative events are being held across the globe. One of the key locations is the National D-Day Memorial in Bedford, Virginia. The memorial will host a series of events, including an honor parade, a roll call recognizing D-Day and World War II veterans, and speeches from dignitaries and historical reenactments. There will be a living history display showcasing the equipment and stories of the soldiers who fought that day, and a flyover of World War II era aircraft. In Normandy, France, the Normandy American Cemetery will also host a special ceremony. Guests will arrive by shuttle buses provided by the French government, and the event will include speeches, musical performances, and a wreath-laying ceremony to honor those who lost their lives. The cemetery is the final resting place for nearly 9,400 American soldiers who died in the Normandy campaign. The National World War II Museum in New Orleans will also commemorate the day with various activities, including performances by the 29th Infantry Division Band, Living History Corps displays, and a special lecture series. The highlight of the evening will be Expressions of America, an outdoor sound and light show featuring music, stunning imagery, and 90-foot-tall projections. D-Day was more than just a military operation. It was a turning point in the fight for freedom and democracy. The sacrifices made by those who stormed the beaches of Normandy 80 years ago continue to inspire and remind us of the cost of liberty. And as President Biden mentioned in his speech commemorating the anniversary, the valor, fidelity, and sacrifice of the Allied forces on D-Day remind us of the strength and resilience required to defend democracy. So as we remember this historic day, let's take a moment to honor the bravery of those who fought and the significance of their actions in shaping the world we live in today. D-Day is a testament to the power of unity and the enduring human spirit in the face of adversity. As our special episode comes to a close here, I want to thank you all for listening to episode 3 of Political Palette. If you have any feedback, please go ahead, click on that form link in the description and submit your feedback. And if you'd like to have your voice note played on today's show, go ahead, go to speakpipe.com/politicalpalette and upload a 90-second clip with your name, location, and your question, and I might just play it here on the show. Thanks, everybody, and have a tremendous weekend. You can follow me at Matty Unhinged on all social media platforms.